Aldosterone stimulates the kidneys and says, keep sodium. Do not excrete it. Well, water and sodium tend to follow each other. If I retain water, I'm helping my blood volume. And if I help my blood volume, I help my blood pressure. Does that make sense? Okay. So, what we need is for the lungs, okay, because the lungs, when the angiotensin II is produced, aldosterone acts. We need to take 2 and convert it, and that's done in the lungs by way of something called the angiotensin converting enzyme, ACE. Have you ever heard that? ACE. Do not take this drug if you are currently or have ever taken an ACE inhibitor. On the commercials you see for all the medications. ACE what? Now this would be capital letters, capital A, capital C, capital E, for being angiotensin converting enzyme. People who take ACE inhibitors are taking it for high blood pressure so that their blood pressure will stay good. We're going to come back to both of those when we come back to our kidneys and our lungs. This raw system, in the raw system, the goal, take that blood pressure that dropped very quickly, or take that blood pressure that's dropping. Maybe a person just tends to have low blood pressure, okay? They have medications for that, just like they do have high. And keep water. Keep the blood volume high, and if I keep the blood volume high, I increase my blood pressure. And therefore, I would counter a drop in blood pressure. Now, cortisol. With cortisol, we kind of know this one as that hydrocortisone. Okay? Now, from that middle layer, the fasciculata, well, it is a potent glucocorticoid. Cortisol is. The weaker one is called corticosterone. Now, this gets secreted in response to this. Do you happen to remember this one? Adrenocorticotropic hormone. Remember those ones? Hypothalamus? Okay? Go back and look at their names. So, the cortisol gets secreted in response to that hormone. Now, this is what it does. Stimulate fat and protein catabolism, gluconeogenesis, and release fatty acids into the bloodstream. What? Fat catabolism. Breaking it down, building it up. Breaking it down. Protein, something I don't want broke down, but it can happen, so that it can promote gluconeogenesis. Any idea what that means? They should have discussed that in part 1. Gluco, sugar, neo, new, genesis, beginning. Make a sugar from something you wouldn't even think about. Meaning, make it from the fatty acids and the protein that got broken down. The body will do that in times of very extreme, chronic, long-term stress. For example, people out in the field at wartime, okay, where they're under chronic stress until they get to come back to base. These are times that the body would have to make the energy from something it wouldn't normally make, or use, I should say. So, the goal, all right, if I have to do this, I gotta let my body adapt to the stress because I really need to repair. Sometimes that's not allowed, okay? Sometimes the body will actually begin to break down and repair can't occur because it's just been too stressful for too long, okay? Now, glucocorticoids as a whole, under normal conditions, like, you know, just everyday type of stuff, they can have an anti-inflammatory effect. So, you know how they say a little bit of stress is good, let you know you're alive, okay? Well, yeah, all right, a little bit of stress is good because we're going to see that it can at times help the body. When it's chronic, it becomes detrimental. Now, our androgens, all right? This is a adrenal sex steroid. It's very little estrogen. We tend to associate the androgens with males and secondary sex characteristics, okay, like for puberty and so forth. And that is also controlled by the ACTH, the adrenocorticotropic hormone. So it's really interesting what some of this stuff with this adrenal cortex can do. Androgens, like I said, controlled by the ACTH, and wow, major androgen that we get, dehydroepiandrosterone, DHEA. Have you ever seen that? Michelle?
Formula.
Baby formula. They say brain development for babies. Now, what we know, okay, DHEA, the tissues convert it to a very potent form of testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, which is one of the reasons we tend to associate it a lot with males, okay? Now, it is important in male fetus development and the male reproductive tract, but we know at puberty, it's a part for both sexes because what it does is it helps with secondary sex characteristics. Like, you know, for example, we think of the development of facial hair and stuff like that, okay? So androgens are the one that we hear the most about. Estradiol is the main estrogen that we get. It's very small in quantity when we look at the estrogen that's produced by the ovaries. The ovaries really do produce the majority of the estrogen that the females need. After menopause, this one is the only source of estrogen. So this is why with the estrogens, estradiol, you may see it as like if women do estrogen replacement and so forth, you may see estradiol as the medication. Another way that after menopause we can have estrogen, estrogen is stored in fat cells. So we can get estrogen from the fat cells of the body as females. One of the things that's important. After menopause, our estrogen levels, though, drop drastically. Any questions up to this point? Take a break. Be back at 10:30.